Bill, in looking through a lot of your practices and hearing the stories and the principles, it looks like you put a lot of investment in development. Now, this is pretty common stuff. I'm trying to think of the companies that we really are aware of this, like pharmaceutical companies. They actually will spend money for 20 years before they ever earn a profit. But in a lot of business, I mean, people seem to have the time or the money to invest in that. And your business really wasn't pharmaceuticals. I mean, how did you justify the expense and the time to put into so much development of your staff?
You know, one of the things I read was that Nissan invests $60,000 in developing some of their first-line employees on an assembly line. There was a man by the name of Leonard out on the East Coast that taught his people who worked as baggers for his grocery store how to interact with their customers and how successful he can. His name was Stu Leonard. And you know, when I read those articles, I thought those people invest a lot of money in developing their staff. And I thought, why wouldn't I apply that same principle or technique in my company? It seemed like common sense to me was to invest in your staff so they would be more productive. And that's what I did. So to me, it was never an expense as much as it was an investment that was going to pay great dividends. And I want you to know it did. In fact, when I sold my company, when the company that bought us, which is Computer Science Corporation, when they bought our company, they looked at our training budget and they said, you know, we're going to just take that line item out because nobody else spends the kind of money on training that you do, so we're not going to count that against you in our valuation of your company. And that became a real profit maker for me when I sold my company.
Wow. When you say, you mean, that you could keep on doing that stuff on your own.
Yeah. Well, no. What they're saying is, you know, it was a heavy expense, and that came out of our profit, out of our bottom line. They said, well, we'll just move that out because we don't want to count that against your profit because, you know, it's just exceptionally high compared to other companies we work with. So they paid us a great sum of money, and we benefited by the fact we were doing that training, and they even moved that out of our profit, out of our expense line.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Now I'm just going to make something up here. Let's say that you were going to take over a convenience store in Iowa, and you had I'm just going to make this up, an employee base of 10 people. How would you apply this principle of developing your employees to that scenario?
Well, I would invest in them going to something like the Dale Carnegie course or to Disney's approach to people management. I would invest in those people so they could become guest-centered. So everybody who walked in that store would feel like they were the most important person that had ever walked into that convenience store. Because we know word-of-mouth marketing is the #1 way to promote your product or service. Also, I would sell them on the potential of staying with this company on the long term as the profits were raising, that they would benefit from that.
That's great.